And we are back for another installment of the post-match show. Following West Ham's abysmal 2-0 defeat at the hands of Arsenal tonight. As always, I'm Chris, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host Irish Tommy. Mate, how you feeling?
Obviously very disappointed with the result, but not surprised. I'll be honest, I expected us to be beaten tonight. Arsenal's form at home has been very good, and our form, the last few games has been poor. Antonio's completely off the boil. We're really struggling for goals now. I actually predicted a 2-0 loss, I'm afraid, and not happy to be proven correctly, obviously. But yeah, it was depressingly expected, unfortunately.
Yeah. And for those of you who are just tuning in, obviously know that, like I said, West Ham just fell to Arsenal by a score of 2-0. What that doesn't show, though, is just all around it was a terrible performance. It was a terrible performance by us. It was a terrible performance by the referees, which we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Even some of the Arsenal players, there's a new level of disdain that I have for Lacazette after that match. And let's get right into that. I mean, that started everything pretty early on, and that was kind of a theme throughout the entire match.
Lacazette was a disgrace, like an absolute disgrace. There were other Arsenal players who were also guilty, but Lacazette was the worst of the bunch. Every time, welcome. Happy to have you. Hopefully, we'll earn
Hopefully
your
welcome you back
viewership for the next one as well. But yeah, Lacazette was a disgrace. Every time he got touched, he went down rolling around, screaming, as he did for the penalty that he got. Yeah, complete disgrace. And I'd be embarrassed, really embarrassed, if a West Ham player was doing that on the pitch. I really would. I'd be livid, actually, and embarrassed to see one of our players acting like that. But Lacazette has no shame. Arsenal fans have no shame. And it's horrible to watch. It's disgusting, actually, whenever you see a player doing that. It's completely dishonest. I couldn't do it. I would just have too much self-respect.
Yeah.
To do that. Lacazette's just a fucking arsehole. I can't stand him. It's a pity Kofel didn't snap his leg in half on that challenge in the penalty area.
He got the red card anyway. Might as well.
May as well have snapped it. I'd have left my arse off if he broke his leg. And I don't often say that, and I'm not a nasty person that way, but people like Lacazette boil my piss, and I have no sympathy for him. He goes down rolling around, screaming at every opportunity, and I just hope in one of their games this season someone actually puts in a challenge worthy of him rolling around and screaming, because he fucking deserves it. I can't stand him. He's a fucking prick.
Yeah, for those of you who hadn't seen somehow, I believe it was the 67th minute, Lacazette drives into West Ham's box. Soufal goes in for a challenge, cleanly wins the ball, and clips Lacazette in the process, winning him a penalty, drawing his second yellow card, and is sending off. He'll now be suspended for the next match, and with Ben Johnson probably being on the sideline, Ashby, I believe it's Ashby, who came in at the end, is going to end up getting his first career start for West Ham. So that's a little bit of a worry. I mean, obviously I have faith in the academy, but still the fact that we're in this position, as Jesse said too, though, I mean, we just have so many injuries at the moment. I mean, everything is, I don't want to say unraveling, but I mean, we're dangling on an edge here.
Yeah, I don't want to get too carried away, but we have a real issue at the moment, I think, particularly with the front four. There's just too many of them are just out of form. We just aren't scoring goals. I mean, look, Arsenal were much the better team tonight, and they deserved to win the game. I have no issue with that. Our poor form continued. Arsenal deserved 3 points from that. And I thought our defence was quite heroic, actually. I thought the likes of Dawson and Diop, particularly Fabianski as well tonight, I thought were all absolutely superb. I thought they did a great job. Because they had a hell of a lot of defending to do, and they were throwing themselves in front of absolutely everything. They hung in there as best they could in the circumstances. So I think, they deserve a lot of plaudits. I think Diop, Dawson, and Fabianski. Fabianski made a couple of brilliant saves, plus saved the penalty. Dawson I thought was fantastic tonight. I mean, I don't know how many shots he blocked or got in the way of. I mean, he was throwing himself in front of everything. Diop made some brilliant blocks as well. I mean, I thought that for the amount of pressure they were on and sustained pressure, I thought defensively, and of course Rice as well back there did some great work. Socek back there helping out. I thought defensively we were really stoic, and I have no complaints about us defensively tonight.
Personally, I think
the real problem we have at the moment, Chris, is not at the back. Despite the injuries back there, I think the defense has been really good. I mean, we haven't been shipping loads of goals.
Masuaku was getting rinsed pretty consistently. He's my biggest worry. And going back to this, I think that's very harsh on Soufal. I don't think Soufal was an issue tonight. I don't think he has been. His first yellow card was a disgrace to begin with too. Both of those were terrible decisions by the referee that ultimately ended up in his sending off. So I'm not faulting Soufal. I think that he's still a great player. I think he's one of our key players. Really, yes. I think that was just absurd.
Yeah, it was a complete joke. I mean, the thing I noticed, and I don't know exactly about overturning things, but did you notice that Anthony Taylor gave Soufal his second yellow card before VAR had checked the penalty?
Yep.
What if it had come back from VAR and they've said, "Oh, geez, we think you need to have a look at this in the monitor," and Anthony Taylor had gone and looked at it in the monitor and overturned his decision?
Yeah,
he's already sent Soufal off for that challenge.
Yeah.
So here's where the real problem is. Once he had sent Soufal off, and then it goes up to the VAR room, the conversation in the VAR room has to be, shit, he's already sent him off.
They can't overturn the penalty.
We literally can't overturn this now. We have to give the penalty.
Yeah, what's the point of VAR? What's the point of it if you're just going to do that?
Yeah, I mean, there has to be a complaint lodged by West Ham. I mean, an official complaint lodged to the Premier League to say, listen, he sent our player off before VAR had checked the penalty.
Yeah, and
he put the I don't know who the officials were tonight in the VAR room at Stockley Park, but
not Taylor.
It's immaterial, really. But Anthony Taylor put them in a position where they had to give the penalty. They had to confirm it because Soufal having been sent off, how can they then go and overturn it when a player's been already sent off? They put themselves in an awful mess, and they really humiliate themselves. They humiliate Anthony Taylor. So once Taylor has sent him off, VAR was screwed. They had to give the penalty, and that's a disgrace. When a decision goes up to VAR and they've been put in a position by the referee where they cannot overturn it, where they kind of have to go with the ref's decision on the field, no matter what. Because he won the ball clean.
Yeah.
And they still give the penalty because they had to. So there needs to be a serious complaint made to the Premier League about Anthony Taylor on this one.
Us West Ham fans make kind of the joke that it's because we're not a top 6 team, so we're a traditional top 6 team, so we're not getting the bias that they usually do. The one way that we're really going to see that is if when West Ham appeal that red card, if the Premier League upholds that red card.
You can't appeal a yellow.
Oh my God, you can't.
You can only appeal a straight red.
That's bullshit. Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. Never mind then. I take that back.
But I know you don't get it in the US, but on this side of the pond, we were watching it on BT Sport. Now, some people may have been streaming it, may have had different commentary. But on BT Sport, they obviously have a consultant referee that they talk to about these kinds of decisions on the pitch. Peter Walton, former referee.
Yeah, we don't have that. We have that.
You know? Guess what fucking Peter Walton said about it.
What's that?
He said, "Yeah, for me, it's not really a penalty, but I think Anthony Taylor is looking at Sofal's momentum that carried him into Lacazette. If you're running across to intercept a ball and you make a sliding challenge and win the ball, how the fuck did your momentum not carry you into the player after the fact? How can you
I'll say
slide and clear the ball and then stop dead? Absolute joke of a comment.
on
I
our
mean,
side,
this is what you're dealing with referees in the
yeah,
Premier League. This is the kind of retardation you have to put up with when you're listening to them. His
yeah.
momentum, he reckoned, was what made Anthony Taylor give the pen. It's like,
Our
what?
the refs on the for us on this side of the pond, we they categorically said that that was not a penalty. That was clean, as far as I could understand. So
Yeah,
I
the momentum comment was just the most. I mean, I rolled my eyes as like, Peter Walton, shut the fuck up, you clown. He's an absolute ass clown. His momentum. Of course, he had momentum. It's a sliding challenge. They are allowed in the game. You
yeah,
can't slide challenge and win the ball. If your momentum carries you into the other player after the fact, it's not a fucking foul. You
yeah.
can't stop your momentum once you slide. I mean, just this is what you're dealing with now in the Premier League. Look, I'm the last person to be a conspiracy theorist, and I've really held off on this for a long time. But I'm actually at the point now where I'm actually convinced there is an element of corruption in the Premier League with officiating, and that there are
I
certain kinds of teams that the Premier League want in that top four, and certain kinds of teams they do not want in there. Um, this last weekend, since the weekend, the penalties that were being given. I don't know if you saw the James Madison dive.
no, but
I
I heard
mean,
about it.
wow. Like, equally bad decision as tonight. I mean, a clear dive, and the VAR team looked at it and confirmed the penalty. It, I mean, there's something very, very wrong going on here. Something very, very wrong. It's at the point now where VAR has become actually counterproductive.
Yeah,
VAR was brought in. What it should be making it better. It should be cleaning things up. It should be making poor decisions far less frequent.
yeah,
Seems to have actually done the opposite now,
yeah. I
and
mean,
it's
obviously, we
awful.
know what.
I'm completely and utterly now at this point against VAR. I would rather go back to taking my chances with refereeing decisions.
Well, here's the issue, though. I mean, with VAR, I mean that tonight, if we didn't have VAR, that's what we're still experiencing. VAR should still be able to
Yeah,
overturn
yeah.
just
Because
something like
here's the
that.
thing. I'll tell you what the one thing VAR has done. Because before VAR, any decision could be put down to referees are only human. They have to make a split decision, in a second, and sometimes they'll get it wrong. And that was what we always heard. What VAR has done now is open our eyes to the genuine, real corruption of officiating in the Premier League. I'm convinced now there's corruption involved. I
Oh,
really am. It
I'm not,
happens
I would
too
not be
often.
surprised. I,
It's happening far too often now, with VAR upholding clearly poor decisions, and that something is rotten in the state of Denmark, as the old saying goes, to quote Shakespeare. But um, yeah, I think VAR needs to be scrapped at this point.
or something
It's
needs to
terrible.
systematically change because the fact that VAR can't overturn what was called on the field is completely incorrect, in my opinion. As growing up watching NFL, the fact that the referees can make a play call on the field, whether that's a penalty or something like that, then the booth looks at it and says, "No, you're wrong. We're overturning that and
Yeah.
making it." How is that not the same in VAR? How is
Well,
that not?
yeah. Well, it is allowed. It is
It,
allowed. They just don't do it.
well, they can't. They can't over say take another look at it and tell, or they should be able to tell the referee, "No, you're wrong. That's not a yellow. That was completely clean tackle. Take away the yellow. Take away the red."
Yeah, they should have that kind of
That's
authority.
the question. How is that not a
But
system that's in
well,
place?
the Premier League, I suppose, are wary of undermining the referee on the pitch.
They've done enough of
But
that themselves.
like, so VAR couldn't do that. But what they very easily could have done, if they think Anthony Taylor's got it wrong, is what they always do, which is say, listen, it's essentially the same thing as saying you're wrong and overturning it. They'll say to say Anthony Taylor, listen, we think you might want to go and have another look at that on the monitor at pitch side. So it has the same effect, because whenever a referee, with very, very few exceptions, whenever the referee is sent to the monitor at the pitch side, they change their opinion and they reverse their decision. It's psychology. They know that their fellow referees in the VAR room think they've got it wrong, and so when they go and look at it in the monitor, they think, Jesus, if the three guys in the VAR room think I've got it wrong, I've probably got it wrong, and then they go look at the monitor and they overturn it, because they don't want to lose face. They don't want their colleagues in the VAR room to think they're incompetent or that they've got it wrong. So they could have sent him to the monitor. And I guarantee you, if they'd sent him to the pitch side monitor to take another look, he would have overturned it.
Yeah.
Overturned it. But of course, as I said earlier, they put themselves in a position where they couldn't do that because he'd already sent Sofel off before VAR had looked at it. So the referees in the VAR room had no choice at that point. No matter what they saw on their replays, they had no choice but to come back and confirm the penalty. And that's got to be looked at. That has got to be looked at.
And listen, I mean, we're going on and on about VAR, and I mean, it has a huge impact. It had an impact last week in the last match in the 0-0 draw against Burnley. It's had numerous effects on us all season, but this was not just VAR. We're in a terrible run of form. Yes, the defense is pretty good. I'm not a big fan of Masuaku, but that's neither here nor there. But the front four, you and I were talking a little bit before the match, before the stream here. Right now, Antonio is completely awful. His good run of form that we thought that he could continue at the beginning of the season is evaporated. He's awful right now. Then you've got Fornals wasn't really a huge impact on the game today. I can't really fault him because he hasn't been playing too much.
He's off form as well.
Yeah. Saeed Benrahma, he very limited minutes tonight, but he gave away the ball. Yeah, he's off form. Gave no confidence. Gave away the ball that led to the second goal. So I mean, that really leaves opposition just having to really shut down Jared Bowen and Lanzini, and we have nothing going forward. Like, January cannot come soon enough.
Yeah, we've got a serious problem at the moment with the front four, and that's where our real problem lies. Defensively, despite the injuries, we've still been solid. We're not scoring goals. That's the problem. The front four do not score. Jared Bowen, even when he was in scintillating form, he was doing a really great job out in the right wing, but he doesn't score goals. Bowen does not score goals. Every once, maybe once in 10 or something, he'll pop one in or something like that. But Fornals not scoring goals, Benrahma not scoring goals, Antonio not scoring goals, and in this league, it's such an attacking league, a high scoring league. If you're not scoring goals, you're not winning games. It's as simple as that, and that's what's been happening to us the last few weeks. Because the likes of Antonio, Benrahma, Fornals have all been off form. Lanzini comes in, he's playing quite well, but he doesn't score goals. So we basically now
they're 40-yard screamers to tie Tottenham. So
yeah, well, look, I mean, any player will score a goal every once in a while, but I mean, there's no regularity to goal scoring from any of our attacking players, any of them. And unless we resolve that issue, we're only going to go one direction in the table, unfortunately. These players have got to start finding their form. They've got to start finding their shooting boots. They've got to. We've had to rely quite a bit on set pieces. Thankfully, we've been brilliant at those. And we've scored a lot of goals from set pieces.
Deliveries.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not that there aren't goals in these players. It's just that they're not doing it right now.
Yeah.
that they're just not scoring any goals. In the past, we've been very threatening, and we have scored goals in one game as well. And just for these last few weeks, it's just completely dried up. These players have just lost form, they've stopped scoring, and they better sort it out quickly. Because we have an opportunity now if they can sort themselves out. Our next 5 games are against teams in the bottom half.
Yeah.
So there is an opportunity there for us to kind of reset, as it were, and start winning games again and moving in the right direction. So hopefully we can do that in the next 5 games. The opportunity is definitely there. Again, I don't worry about us too much defensively. I know we'll be missing Sofel for the next game, but I think thankfully Cresswell will be back. I would think at the weekend. I think he just failed a late fitness test, but he'll obviously have more training in the next couple of days, and he should be good to go at the weekend. And Harrison Ashby will, as you say, I think will get his first start in the Premier League. So I think defensively, and we still have Diop and Dawson, who I thought were both really good tonight.
Yeah,
so defensively, and obviously Rice and Soucek, they still do a great job in the middle of the field. So we just need to get those front 4 firing. And I'll be honest, Moyes needs to stop with this loyalty shit. He's got to, for his sake too, because he has ambition and he wants us desperately to finish in the top 4. He cannot keep starting Antonio.
Well, that's why January can't come soon enough, because we don't. I know we have Bowen, but Bowen isn't ultimately the answer, in my opinion.
Not long term, no.
So I mean, we need to get. Right now, we're limping. We need to limp into January, be able to get the fresh players we need, because yes, you're correct in this the statement too that Craig Dawson and Diop have been doing very well as well. We're one injury to one of those two away from being in complete collapse.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, hopefully that won't happen, between now and January, and we get someone in. At the moment, really, the worry is up front. It's attacking wise. That's where my real concern is. And again, tonight, David Moyes, I don't understand this. He brought Ben Ram off the bench. I don't get it. Benrahma's off form. He's not playing well. He's not doing anything when he comes in. Like I put out a team actually the other day that I would have started tonight, and I had dropped Antonio and Benrahma from the team. I'd put Fornells in there, even though his form hasn't been great. But I put Fornells in because he does work his absolute ass off, and I thought we would need him defensively a lot tonight, which we did. But I had moved Bowen up top.
Yeah.
And I had started with Fornells on the left of the 3, with Lanzini as the 10 and Vlasic on the right. So we have to do something. At some point, how many games can we allow this to happen before Moyes finally pulls the trigger and just benches these boys and gives someone else a chance? Because right now we're going nowhere but downwards in the table. We better fucking hope Tottenham don't go and win at Leicester tomorrow. We better hope that doesn't happen. But and like he brought Benrahma on instead of Vlasic tonight, which I couldn't understand. Benrahma's completely out of form. Vlasic looks like he's starting to find his feet, and he's starting to put in some really decent.
That's the type of game that you put in Vlasic, and you can kind of test his mettle, so to speak. Benrahma, he hasn't been on.
Benrahma, he's off form and he's just not doing anything.
So I can see why you're trying to as well, seeing like, okay, maybe I can throw him out there and maybe help him direct him back in the correct direction in terms of his form. But all he's done now is with that getting body off the ball like that, his confidence is going to fall even further.
Yeah, that won't have done him any good. Losing the ball there and it leading to basically the game-ending goal. Although, to be fair, I think we could have played for another 90 minutes and wouldn't have scored. But even with 11 men, we've, like I say, goals have completely dried up, and we've got to address it. It's as simple as that. And I don't mean we've got to wait till January. I mean, we've got games coming up, and we've got to start winning them We've got to. We have to beat Norwich. 3 points is an absolute must against Norwich. And like I say, we've got next 5 games are against bottom half teams. We've got to get a lot of to make up for this poor run of form. We have to get a lot of points out of those games.
Yeah, if we don't get at least 12 from those 10 to 12 from those 5, we could be in trouble moving
Yeah,
forward.
I mean, of the 18 points that are up for grabs in those games, or sorry, 15 points that are up for grabs in those games, like you say, we've got to get most of the points in those games. We've got to, like you said, we've got to be kind of winning 3 at least. We have to win at least 3 of those games and not lose any. So acceptable would be 3 wins, 2 draws. But at the very least, we've got to do that. We can't keep dropping points. The front 4, Moyes got to sit them boys down and say, look, this is not good enough. You look at the quality that we're talking about here. We're talking about Bowen, Benrahma, Fornals, Antonio. We've seen what they can do. We've seen how good they can be, how devastating. He's got to sit them down and say, listen, this won't fly. This will not fly. You will all be replaced.
Yeah.
I need players I can rely on. I need players that are going to come in and play well and score goals and win us games. Because right now, we're going to keep drawing and losing because you lot can't get your shit together. I think he needs to be stern with these players and light a fire under them and say, you better fucking start playing because I promise you, you'll be sitting on the bench watching someone else play.
Yeah.
I'll bring in Vlasic. I'll go get Lingard in January. He's going straight in the team, and Vlasic is going in the team, and Lanzini will stay on because he's playing well. And I'll put Bowen up top.
Yeah, and
you guys will not get games like this, and he needs to do it because he's being too loyal to these players now. They're costing us points, and they're costing us a place in the top 4 now.
Yeah,
and we keep sliding. Like you look at that top 10. I mean, it's bunched in there. Like Tottenham have a couple of games in hand. Leicester will find form and move up the table. They'll start picking up points. So we could find ourselves, really dropped off massively by going into the second half of the season unless these players fucking sort themselves out.
Yeah, and like you're saying, the next 5 are against bottom half teams. To be more specific, the next 3 are basically relegation candidates between who all are they? I just had them up. Let's see. Norwich, Southampton, and Watford. And you look at them in their run of form, in each of their last 5 matches, they've had a combined total of 1 win. Those are the games. If you want success, you have to win.
There's no win. Yeah, we have to win all 3 of those games. It's as simple as that. And the players have put themselves in this position now.
Yeah, the fact that our season, like, I wouldn't say is fully kind of set on these 3 matches, but damn near close, must-win matches.
Yeah, these next 3, like I say, they're all poor teams. We should be beating them. The players we've got, we have to go out now and win all 3 of those games. End of story. Nothing less would be good enough, frankly. The players have put themselves in this position now where they're under pressure to go and win games, and they've got to go and do it.
This is the West. This has been the West Ham of old. This hasn't been the story the last year or so far this year, really. Usually we would beat the big teams, lose to the small teams. This time around, it's competitive against the big teams, winning against the weaker teams, which is what you need to do to win.
Yeah, last season we were brilliant against teams below us. We dropped actually very few points against teams below us on the table.
Yeah.
We struggled a bit more against some of the big teams, but I'll be fucking honest with you. Look, it's brilliant when you can beat Liverpool and Chelsea, but it's pointless if you're not going to beat the teams who are below you in the table, teams who are genuinely poorer than you.
Yeah.
And like I say, these next 3 games, just got to go and win them. It's as simple as that. We have to go win them. If we can do that, if we can go and win these next 3 games, put 9 points on the board.
If we do that carries us into January.
Yeah, we'll be in very nice shape.
Yeah, it carries us into January against Crystal Palace and Leeds, who are both in pretty poor. Or Crystal Palace, I think, actually might have won today. I could be wrong.
I'm not sure what Palace are doing. Palace are okay. They're a decent side.
Palace is
Leeds,
11th. They drew today,
yeah, I think they were
so
pegged
I mean
back.
they're not on amazing form either. So
No, I mean, like these are the kind of games we should be going out looking to get 3 points on. Leeds are on really poor. They just got absolutely spanked by City. So they can't be feeling good about themselves. Those players, they must be low on confidence after that. I mean, that's a fucking hammering. Um, so yeah, we've got to go out now and right the ship. And it's going to come down to the front four. It's as simple as that. They're going to have to go out, pull their fucking socks up, and start doing their job.
that
They've
physically
got
pains
to.
me, Neil.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's
That pains me.
just
God.
yeah, that's the way of it. But like I said, we're on a poor run of form. We're just like
Yeah.
I
We have to claw our way out of it. We have to fight. There's no ifs ands or buts. We gotta fight out of this.
yeah, well, we've got a chance to now. We've got a chance to in these next 3 games, particularly, to go and grab 9 points. Like I said, look, teams will have a wobble during the season. It will happen to almost all teams. Um, But most teams will have a wobble like we're having, where they just go on a little run where they're just not picking up the points,
Yeah,
but they're not getting wins. But it's important now that we put that behind us from the weekend on and win these next 3 games, put those 9 points on the board, and we'll all be feeling a lot better about ourselves. And who knows, it may be enough to get us back into fourth. It's entirely possible it will. But even if it doesn't, we'll be right there, you know, we'll be right there on the cusp of it again, and hopefully back on track, and the confidence of the players, particularly the attacking players, will be back up, and we can go into the second half of the season right in the hunt, because
yeah.
if it goes the other way, if our form doesn't pick up, if our front four don't sort their act out, then it's going
All
to
of
go
this is
the
pointless.
direction. We're going to be looking up the table, and fourth is going to be further and further away, and
Yeah,
we're going to be
the
slipping
start that
back
we've
towards.
had would mean
Yeah,
absolutely nothing if we don't get
we
figured
could
out.
just as easily slip back into mid-table,
Yeah,
which would
and
be really unfortunate because we shouldn't be in mid-table. We're too good to be in mid-table. Um, but yeah, look, I'm putting it down to the attacking players. I think they're the problem.
I largely agree too. It's a combination of that and just lackluster performances lately. I mean, if you can't get the goals going forward, I mean, the rest of the team is going to eventually just start kind of not moping around, but morale is going to take a bit of a hit. So, kind of, it's kind of a team effort in this, but I mean, it's from it starts at the front, and you're exactly right on that. Well, listen, right before we wrap up here, do you have anything else you want to say?
Just what to think about tonight. Well, so yeah, it's. I think January can't come quickly enough now. That transfer window
Amen to
opens. Because we've got to. Mikel Antonio is in a position he shouldn't be in, and I don't mean up front. I mean where his form stinks, but he's still going to start every game. Um, we have Vlasic, who should be introduced. Frankly,
Agreed.
Vlasic needs to be introduced. In an ideal world, right now, I would not have Fornals or Benrahma anywhere near the team. I would have Vlasic and someone else in there. There isn't much of an option outside of Vlasic, so it's hard to drop both of them. But I would love to see. You see, if we had, say, Jesse Lingard now, we probably wouldn't be in this jam. If we had a backup striker who was, a really good striker, we wouldn't be in this jam now because you'd be able to drop Fornals and Benrahma, put Vlasic and Lingard in, or whatever, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Whoever's not on form, they look behind him on the bench and think he's going to take my place next week
And that's what I think
if I have
Antonio
another bad
suffers from
game.
as
And
well. I think Antonio suffers from that in the sense that he's like, oh, I have a comfortable job. I just perform every now and then and it doesn't worry. I think that can creep into the mind a little bit. He's not having to worry about someone pushing him.
no, there's nobody in the team ready to take Antonio's place whatsoever. He'll start against Norwich, and he knows it. He scored one goal in 13 games. and he knows he will still start against Norwich. And if he doesn't score against Norwich, he'll still start against Southampton. He knows it. So, where's the push? You know, so we've got to get a striker in, try and get Lingard in, just to say to, and if the form hasn't improved by then of the likes of Fornells and Benrahma and Antonio, just you're on the bench,
Yeah.
and if Vlasic and excuse me, if the likes of Vlasic and Lingard and whoever the striker is are playing well, you can probably expect to be sitting there for some time, because you can't play like that week in, week out. At least you shouldn't be able to play like that week in and week out and stay on the pitch. But
Yeah.
there's not much option at the moment. I think Vlasic has to start against Norwich. I would definitely start him there. And I'll tell you what, and I'll say this, and I don't say this lightly. If Cresswell is back, as I think he will be at the weekend, I would drop Fornells and Benrahma. I wouldn't let them near it. I'd play actually Vlasic instead of them, and even if I had to play Masuaku as the left of those three, I would do it rather than have Benrahma or Fornells out there.
Fair enough. I mean, yeah.
Those two have to be dropped. They have to sit on the bench and just say, "Look, it's not good enough." And I'll tell you what, I would drop Antonio as well. I would play Masuaku, Lanzini, and Vlasic as the three attacking players with Bowen up top. I would drop all three of those players to the bench who aren't performing and say, "Right, you're subs now." And if Vlasic and Masuaku all play well, and Zini plays well, and Bowen's playing well up top, you won't get back in this team.
Yeah.
Because you just haven't been good enough. I think a message has to be sent by Moyes at some point to say, look, you can't play like this and expect to stay on the pitch. But I just don't see Moyes as the type to do it. But I would do it. I'd play Masuaku, Lanzini, Vlasic, and Bowen as the front four, and Benrahma, Fornells, and Antonio can take a seat.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Listen, some quick housekeeping items. Unfortunately, I will not be on the show on Saturday, as I will be hunting with my grandfather. So I will not be here. We will be back here next Wednesday following the EFL match against Tottenham. So very much looking forward to that one. Hopefully we can obviously get the win Saturday as well, but there will be, just as a heads up now, there will be no show unless Tommy finds someone to fill in for me. So.
No, I'll be very busy Saturday myself. So.
Oh, perfect. All right. Well, and then really quickly, this is kind of a topic I quickly want to hit on as well. For those of you who aren't on Twitter or anything, or who don't really keep up with it, unfortunately, the sad news came out this week that little Isla is not doing well. So obviously, thoughts and prayers are with her and her family. Try, if you can, help contribute, but obviously it's no necessary urge, or not urge, but necessity to do so. Just more thoughts and prayers are needed in general. That's just a tragic story. Just wanted to bring that up quickly. I don't know if you have comments on that either.
Yeah, just I saw it as well during the week. Just tragic news. The poor girl has been, fighting so bravely for so long, and for a while there was a lot of optimism that, maybe this was going to work.
Yeah, she's in the corner. That she
yeah,
would turn the corner.
yeah, and then unfortunately we got the news that
Yeah,
it appears that she's going to lose this fight. And right now, if anyone has any spare money whatsoever, if you can go to Isla's GoFundMe page, basically her parents are just trying to give her as many great experiences
yeah,
as they can with the time that she has left.
yeah. No
So
child should ever have to go through any of this.
no, it's just, I mean, she's been through so much already, and she's she's been an absolute warrior the way that she's handled it. So yeah, it's devastating news really for her and her family,
All of
and
us, and
for all, and for all the West Ham family, we've been following her story for so long,
I
and
think
really,
most West Ham fans see her as either their kind of adopted daughter or adopted sister in a way. So I mean, this is
Yeah.
tragic for
Yeah, I
everyone.
mean, we've all become so invested in
Yeah,
Isla and her story, and um, it's just so tragic that it won't have a happy ending. It kind of reminds me, I don't know if you remember Bradley Lowry,
yeah,
uh, the young Sunderland fan who fought really hard too, and developed an incredibly close relationship with Jermaine Defoe, who was at the club at the time, and unfortunately he lost his life too. And it's always just so heartbreaking when you see
yeah,
a young child lose their life, to cancer, and it's terribly tragic. And I know we all, feel really terrible for her and for her parents and her family. Um, but life can be cruel, and I think the important thing now, which is all that we can do, is kind of try and make sure that what time she has left is as great as possible for her.
yeah. Completely agree. Can't couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah, we're praying. Hopefully, a miracle happens. I mean, but it's not looking great right now. Um,
No.
Unfortunately, on that somber note, that we have kind of reached the end of the show here.
Yeah, well, it reminds you. Look, we lost a game of
It-
football tonight.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, yeah. In the long run of things, I mean, this little girl is going through so much, and here we
Yeah.
are in good health, bitching about 11 players on the soccer pitch.
Yeah.
So
Keep the perspective.
yeah, absolutely. But listen, everyone, thank you as always for joining us. Thank you, Tommy, again for joining me. Until next Wednesday, come on, you Irons, and come on, Isla.
Come on, you Irons.